Now, I'll never understand the hype around the Horizon series. I think they're gorgeous games with an interesting premise, but they don't have an original bone in their bodies when it comes to actual moment-to-moment gameplay. And as someone who cares about moment-to-moment gameplay more than anything else in a video game, that's just a hurdle I'm not going to be able to get past with this franchise. But I also recognize I'm not really the target audience for these games, and that's really the reason why. Which is why whenever you see people praising the boss fights in the Horizon games, it's always just a video of them aimlessly running around the boss arena while the boss makes no attempt to actually hit them, because these games are the definition of style over substance. Now, in some ways, I'm glad that Horizon Fooby Dooby is coming to PC, because personally, I don't have a PlayStation 5 or a PlayStation 4, I'm a PC gamer, and I've been having some trouble sleeping recently, so I really appreciate Sony looking out for me with this port. But I appreciate this game coming to PC because preserving games is important, and since the PC is a timeless platform while the consoles are not, this means the game will be properly preserved for generations to come. I also appreciate Sony once again acknowledging that they are not going to convince PC gamers to buy their overpriced, underpowered plastic box, so they might as well just meet us halfway here with their first-party games. But this is a video about people getting upset about a PlayStation game, so I guess I will get to the point. Now, the other day, I made 2 tweets about Horizon Farty Warty, those being this one and this one. And both of them got some bitter replies from people still holding on to the bizarre notion that this franchise is something ridiculously epic and groundbreaking, despite it basically just being the video game equivalent of James Cameron's Avatar. It's a very pretty collection of other people's ideas that has basically no creative impact despite making a bunch of money. And just to hammer the point home that the die-hard fans of this series are just full-on style over substance, let's take a look at the lad who posted this original tweet and see how he defends the game from criticism. Cruel Devil responded and said Elden Ring has 30 plus examples of better bosses, but that's just me. And OP responds, Elden Ring is a PS4 gen game. Today I learned Elden Ring didn't come out during the PS5 era? Question mark? But also, doesn't that make this worse? I mean, you don't deny here that Elden Ring has better boss fights, but your only response is that Elden Ring is from the last generation? So doesn't it make it worse that the new generation doesn't have better boss fights? Also, am I on crazy pills, or isn't Forbidden West also on PS4? So genuinely, what's your point? Boosted replies and says, it's a set piece, looks pretty, the fight itself is nowhere near a great boss battle, games from 2009 have better boss battles. And then OP responds, those games aren't part of this gen, though you dunce, so you don't deny that this is more of a set piece than a boss fight. Great work. At GetGoodNub7 says prettier and way more mechanically interesting despite being average compared to others in the game and series. And OP responds, a PS4 game, try and stay on the topic please and thanks. Dude, Horizon Forbidden West is literally on PS4. How is this a defense? For the love of God, play other games. And of course he got roasted into oblivion for this tweet, so he'd posted a follow-up one saying even more footage from the best boss battle of the PS5/Xbox Series X generation, aka 9th gen, which we've established by your definition means Horizon Forbidden West is excluded because it's a cross-gen game. Wait, so she just followed a very linear path to the core of the boss, and that was the whole boss fight? Sorry, but that looks like shit. This isn't a battle, it's a glorified jumping puzzle. To which Ted responds, this is only 10% of the boss fight. There's a part later where you are standing directly in front of it while it rains attacks on you, and you have to shoot its tentacles. Parasite X sounds exciting. Oh, the ratio. That's one of the worst ratios I've seen in a while. Jesus Christ. Okay, so you get the idea here. Let's get into the main event of the video. So let's start with this tweet, shall we? Hey, quick interruption. This channel is sponsored by 4D Gaming, and 4D Gaming is currently having a big 15% off site-wide anniversary sale. And guess what? The 15% stacks with my code Joe for an additional discount. So if you've been looking to get a really nice mouse pad or just generally spruce up your gaming desk, go check out 4dgaming.com and use code Joe for a discount on top of the 15% off anniversary discount going on site-wide until February 7th. Thank you for your time. So I quote tweeted the news that Forbidden West has a confirmed PC release date, and I said, FromSoft has the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever. Now the reason I said this would be funny is because ever since early 2022 there has been a rather popular opinion going around ye old internet that states much of Horizon Fricky Wiki's launch hype was drowned out by Elden Ring's launch hype. That's not to say Hardy Fabardi Wardy was unsuccessful, but it is pretty widely accepted that FromSoft stole a bit of Sony's thunder here. That said, it would be comical if now that there's a release date on the PC port of this game, if FromSoft drops a release date for Shadow of the Erdtree and steals its thunder yet again, because quite a few leaks have come out recently suggesting we're weeks away, if that, from a trailer for Shadow of the Erdtree or potentially even a launch. I think that's unlikely, but that's not the point. Point is, out of all the jokes and jabs that I've thrown at Sony over the years, this was one of the tamest ones to date, and yet I got some very bitter replies. Pour exemple, Double Cell says, yeah, I'm not taking anybody serious who says they're sold on this garbage-ass looking game, probably thought Redfall was Game of the Year, Lamau, and then includes a screenshot of me saying I was sold on Avowed because of the dual-wielding magic wand spell-casting gunslinger, which is objectively cool, but I digress. Like, just so we're clear, you saw me criticize a boss fight from Horizon Zero Dawn, or Forbidden West, or whichever one it is, they're both the same to me, and your first response to that was to start scouting through my Twitter feed to find anything you could use as ammo against me, and this is what you settled on. The one where I said I'm sold on Avowed because you can dual-wield magic wands and be a gunslinging wizard. And you also say that I must have thought Redfall was Game of the Year because I, checks notes, think it's cool to be a gunslinging wizard. Which, first of all, I literally made multiple videos about Redfall being garbage. Like, multiple videos about this. So you're mad enough about my opinions on Horizon that you'll stalk through my Twitter, but you won't stalk enough to know that no, I don't like Redfall. But also, you're responding to me making a FromSoft reference. If I like FromSoft, I probably don't like Redfall. Because if you like FromSoft games, that probably means you have standards for games. But the best part here is that you say all of this because I like the idea of being a gunslinging wizard. Bro, being a gunslinging wizard is objectively cool. This has to be the most Sony pony thing I've ever seen. I said being a gunslinging wizard looks cool, and you're like, nah bro, you must think Redfall is Game of the Year. Am I crazy, or is that not the most pony thing you've ever heard? Like, Sleep Aid eye candy game with dogshit boss fights. That's amazing and unworthy of criticism. Gunslinging wizard? Terrible. Awful. No. You must also like Redfall. God, you people are so fucking boring! That PlayStation gamer responded and said, DLC? Yes, DLC. If you haven't noticed by now, a lot of people are really excited for Elden Ring's DLC. If you don't think Shadow of the Erdtree has the power to overshadow basically anything else that comes out nearby it, you haven't been paying attention to the insane success of the base game. Richard Phillips says, I'll check it out, PlayStation. Nobody says I forgot about you. You're still my favorite console, no matter what Xbox comes out with, and that's just the truth. Smiley face thumbs up. What? Okay, so those weren't that bad. I really just wanted to talk about this guy, because this guy makes me laugh. But where some of the real good stuff comes in is from this second one. The second tweet I made about Horizon Floopy Whoopy, where I quoted that guy who said it had the best boss battle of the gen, and I said, Bed of Chaos is more of a boss fight than this. One of these boss fights is running around a whole bunch and then eventually doing what is basically just an Uncharted platforming section to win, while the other one is Bed of Chaos from Dark Souls 1. The single worst boss fight I've ever experienced, but it is, in fact, still a boss fight. Side note, you know what this boss fight from Hoopy Faboopy Whoopy reminds me of? The fucking, the Omnidroid fights from this Incredibles game. Remember these fights? Like, these fights are somehow more intimidating and more interesting with the whole, like, normal-sized person versus giant robot concept than anything in the Horizon series. Because the Omnidroid, you fight it multiple times throughout the game, and it's supposed to replicate how the Omnidroid in the movie shows up multiple times with multiple upgrades, and Syndrome is like upgrading it behind the scenes to like learning what all the superheroes do to stop it. So every time you fight the Omnidroid, it's bigger than before and has all of its moves from before, but also some new ones that you gotta stay on your toes about. And look at I'm just gonna throw some footage up here. This recurring giant robot boss fight from a movie licensed game from like 15, 16, maybe even closer to 20 years ago now is way more interesting and way more engaging from a gameplay standpoint than anything I've ever seen from Horizon. That's just a side note. Anyways, let's go through some of the responses I got to this one. Retro responded to it and said, I've literally never seen a clip of someone actually fighting this thing. It's always of it walking away and then chasing it. To which WR Racing responds, never see. Games are to be played, clown emoji. The absolute irony of you saying this in defense of a Sony game. We're over here criticizing the lack of gameplay in a Sony game. And your response to that criticism is to criticize the fact that we're looking at videos of it, but the whole crux of the criticism is that looking at footage gives you basically the same experience as playing it. Am I getting too like high concept with my criticism here? Am I getting too over your head with this? Like, this all started when people were criticizing this air quote boss fight for not having much gameplay. But your response is like, why aren't you just playing it? My guy, that is how this started. The guy playing it is arguably not even playing it. That's the problem. Dammy says cross-gen title, nothing surprising. What does that mean? You know what else is a cross-gen title? Small little indie game called Elden Ring. Like, didn't I literally just make a video about this? About how people need to stop acting like game design is somehow tied to the graphics engine or the graphics tech? I did make a video about this. It's this one. Go watch it. And, like, your bio says you're a PC gamer, so shouldn't you, like, know this? I genuinely don't know what you mean when you say cross-gen title in a derogatory way. Ugh. I know this video is a bit shorter compared to my other Twitter escapades, but I just thought it was funny that I made 2 tweets about Horizon Faloopy Whoopy in the same day, and both of them got bitter responses from people utterly incapable of defending the franchise. Because maybe, just maybe, this franchise isn't actually all that worth defending. Maybe this franchise isn't actually that special. I've been thinking about going back and playing the first Horizon game on PC. If it goes on sale for like, I don't know, I'd probably pay like $6 for it. So if it goes down to $6, maybe I'll get it because it's pretty. It makes nice screenshots. It makes my brain do the haha that's pretty thing. But you know that the whole haha that's pretty thing can only sustain me for like a half an hour of a game's length. I'm gonna eat my lunch now, and I admit that the video you're watching right now is kind of a filler video, kind of like how Horizon is a filler game. Ayo, air horn, mic drop. That was cringy as shit. I'm gonna cut that. Fuck me. Okay, toodle. Wait. Oh, there was something else I wanted to talk about. I forget what it was. Okay, toodles.